Oh, back again. Sadly, if you see a little break in the video, it will be because, unlike when you do certain videos, you can't just press the button and turn the camera around to the from the front-facing camera to the rear. So anyway, here's my case. As you can see, it follows my typical line of cases here, using the very nice high-impact case. We've got an iCharger 308 Duo nestled in there nicely. I've then obviously brought up the connections then onto the deck with my little PCB adapter here that obviously allows me, in this neat little PCB actually allows me to mount not only the standard style JST XH connector there in a 9-pin format, I will add, and there's reasoning behind that, but also the Revo Electrics PL charger specific balance connector there. Now the reason behind this was for my PL8 and PL6 charge case builds, I was able then to replicate obviously the balance port on the deck and allow my customers to not only use the standard Revo Electrics MPA board excuse me, but also the more widely available cheaper charge stroke balance boards using the JST XH connector. And obviously then with that, then I would obviously provide the opposing 9-pin male connector to obviously plug in there, so that was working. So a balance charge port for obviously in this case channel 2, and obviously the same on the other side. Now obviously this is based on server power supplies as per normal, so typically it's got my ice meter protection circuit in there. Would never offer or build a case using server supplies and iCharger Duos without this. This is a godsend. Without this really clever little unit from Steve Smith XY Gax, the potential for damage to a charger should one of the power supplies fail is enormous. So for what it costs and everything else, it's safe insurance really for your charger. You've spent a hell of a lot of money on your chargers, so why risk damaging them? Anyway, I digress. Let's go on a little bit further. You will obviously see I've got my logo here, and you can no doubt see the very tiny gap here around the outside. This is because it is storage. At the moment I've got my lead in there, but the plan is I'm going to perhaps put some charge and balance leads in there so they don't flap about. So that is on a spring loaded latch, so you can clip it down, it's clipped in, clip it again, and it pings up. And of course then with the laser cutter, then laser engraver, I've obviously engraved my logo on there, and that will be a little bit more apparent why I've done that and why I've opened it up with the carbon covered deck. Again, I've skinned the deck in carbon fibre for added durability. Unfortunately, while the clear acrylic or dark tinted decks that I used to use when I first started building cases for customers work very well, they don't necessarily last very well when it comes to putting batteries and so on and so forth on there. They soon start to show scratches and gouges, and it unfortunately detracts them from the beauty of the case. So obviously the carbon finish obviously adds that high-tech look and also adds a little bit of protection. So the eagle-eyed among you there as well will see that I've been messing around with the 3D printer, and obviously instead of buying hinges I've made my own, and then obviously the real eagle-eyed ones among you that have 3D printers will see obviously I've potentially printed them in different orientations to see which one works better. At some stage I'll change them as well. Going around the case again, you've got your typical 240 volt input on the side. At the front then as well, I've also got a DC input here as well. The idea being, or behind this option is, should me or my customers, because obviously I've already been offering this to my customers for the last couple of years, should they go out on site or to a site field or whatever where there is no AC power and no means of a generator, but a car battery or leisure battery is available, they can then obviously connect power in on this point, which is an XT90 built in there, and then that obviously provides DC voltage directly to the charger, in this case bypassing the AC power supplies that are mounted in the case. Now, to get around the issue of obviously just straight connecting DC power to the front of the power supplies, I then incorporate an isolator switch at the front. So, excuse the rubbish underneath there, I should have perhaps moved that, but anyway. So yeah, I've got a rotary isolation switch there then, which basically allows me to enable or disable the AC/DC inputs accordingly for safety reasons. So you can use one or the other, but neither at the same time. Coming back up to the case, we've obviously covered that. We've got the ice meter, which is there in another video. Obviously that's protection circuit, that'll come on shortly. We've got on the left hand side, actually, before I go any further, your obligatory USB charge ports. Has to be done there. It looked quite nice there, so I thought I'd keep things. I've got items already on the right hand side of the case, so I thought that looked quite neat there to put something on the left, so it kept in with the theme. Now, the other thing I've done recently, and you can just about see that in the top shot there, is the strapping, the lid tidy options for my cases. That obviously allows you to store leads, or in this case I think these ones here, hopefully I've strapped them, put enough tension in the band in there. I'm going to be able to put my balanced charge boards there, which would be nice, and then that'll save me obviously having to put them inside here, and they can just have leads. Now if I pan upwards a little bit more, you can see my reflection in there and obviously my fingerprints as well. But basically we've got an iPad mini just currently resting in the recess there in the lid tidy. At some stage I'm going to develop some form of clip there so I can leave it in when I shut the lid, but at the moment I'd have to take it out. But basically the idea behind this is this now provides the wireless, or provides a wireless interface to the iCharger Duos using a very clever piece of software called CIQ. Again, can't really tell you too much about that just yet, but that will hopefully soon come to market and people can obviously use this themselves, because it is a cracking piece of software and also a little piece of hardware. In this case there is a Raspberry Pi stuck behind here for obviously the programming or the computing side of things. That then of course then provides a wireless link via Bluetooth to the tablet. So in my case then I also wanted to provide a space for my case to go in with the tablet, and obviously I went for an iPad mini so it wasn't too big. Also then as well I've recessed it in there so it looks good, and now I've incorporated a charging jack just here, which I'll show you in a minute, which then of course allows you to basically, when the iPad is in place, it will charge. It's using one of these magnetic clasping charge leads. So when it's in there, and I've designed a bracket there to mount it on the back, which makes it spring loaded as well. So when you obviously push, or when you obviously slip the iPad into place, the spring loaded action obviously allows the charge receptacle to move back out the iPad's way, and then of course then when it is laying in that recess, then the spring action then obviously makes sure that the charging receptacle then makes contact with the little adapter that is obviously mounted in the charge port of the iPad mini. So far working quite well. The only thing, as I mentioned potentially on the first of the other video, is I've got the USB lead plugged into the Raspberry Pi, and unfortunately I don't think the charge rate, or should I say the amp draw coming out the Pi, is good enough. So of course even though it is charging and making connection, the iPad is obviously there, it's not charging. So anyway, without further ado, let's turn the power on. That is obviously then going to bring the case to life, so a few of the nice little features that I've built in will also show up, and there we go. That's the first one. The ice meter, you just caught a glimpse of that. It's very difficult on this camera to catch it, but that is obviously booting up and obviously showing some of its, see if I can get it. No, oh, there we go. Just about to see it. Ah, there we go, it's getting it. Unfortunately, due to the backlighting, it's very difficult, but that's on and ready to go. The power supplies aren't started, but they're in standby mode, ready to go. But that's the main thing. The beauty about laser engraving, it's so clever really, the way this light transient or transmission works through acrylic. Basically with that I incorporated a line of LEDs across the front, so when the lid is closed the light obviously shines through it, and of course then it catches on the laser engraved logo here. So if I open it, it goes off, but of course it shines inside. There's the LEDs, whoop, they're bright. Close the lid, and of course then it catches the edge and shines my logo. It's quite clever. It's quite clever. It's a neat little way of doing things. Now, if I press the rotary control of the ice meter, things start to happen. So in this case, obviously the power supplies have obviously started running, which is good. and the charger obviously boots up, and the iPad has also come on actually and say, it says in the corner not charging. Yeah, definitely got to put something on there with a bit more power behind it, but we get the idea. So let's take out, because there's another little feature behind here which I've done again using the trick with the laser engraving. So if I can put my finger in there and pull it out, and there we go. It's very difficult to catch it with the brightness. See if we can do it. Oh, I think I made them a bit bright. See if I turn the light off, see if that makes any difference. Nope, it doesn't. Aha, that's better. Put a bit of additional light on it, and then that helps. Basically, it's quite difficult to see, unfortunately, but I've laser engraved the logo behind the case. I wonder if I can zoom in, that might help. There we go. And I've got the iCharger logo there. It's very, very difficult to see, unfortunately, because it's so bright, it just flares up on the phone lens. But you get an idea there of what is hiding behind the iPad when it's in place. Now my plan eventually is, again, I need another little item. I'm going to have that on a switch, so when the iPad is in place, potentially a switch is broken, a contact is broken, and that light is off, because there's no point in theory having it on when the iPad is in place. But you can see obviously here I've got my spring-loaded charge lead there, and you can see obviously the green light. The plan is that can obviously pop in there, very difficult one-handed, that'll pop in there, and then obviously it will start charging. Obviously it's telling me it's charged at the moment, but the idea is the iPad then can be taken in or out, and the charge lead of course then makes connection as required. Once I fix that, that'll be perfect. Brilliant. Obviously I'm hoping you're liking this so far. Obviously I can go into there, if I go down, so I can put my password in. There we go. We can go in, we can go into the CIQ. It should ultimately then pick up what do I want to connect to. Well, in this case I definitely want to connect to the CIQ module. And would I like to? Yes. And it should go and retrieve my charger programs. There it is, it's retrieving it. Normally on first boot up, because obviously the Raspberry Pi that's running the rather excellent software behind there is obviously a computer, so the minute you turn it on, it doesn't work straight away. You've got to give it at least a minute. It's like a normal PC really, it has to boot up, and there we go. I can turn that light off now. So we've got the rather excellent CIQ input device there, so we can tap to begin. You'll have to excuse me, I've used this a few times but not greatly yet. I've had it for a few months, but I've only just finished the case to use it. So let's choose 700E parallel packs because that's in there. Select. Do I want to start? If I click start, obviously it's going to complain because there's no battery connected. And there we go. And it's obviously backed up then by the error on the charger itself. So we can also go dismiss. Plan is I'll get a bit more used to that, but overall that gives you an idea of what the case is about. And basically the next level that Coolice charge case and power supplies are going to be able to offer its customers, with that little added extra customization and everything else in between. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye bye.